Welcome to Raw Talk, Real Healing.
It's like therapy, but with more laughs and less copays.
I'm Gabby.
And I'm Diana.
We're licensed therapists.
But here, we just want to have raw and unapologetic conversations.
So come vibe with us. We're professional meets personal.
Let's get it.
Welcome back, guys.
Welcome back to Raw Talk Tuesday. I feel like we haven't started like that in so long. Like nice and calm. We're always like, hey, girl.
No, you're right.
I know.
That was good. I like that one.
Perf.
Me too. So, I feel like this is something, when you sent me these ideas to record this, I was like, I'm glad we were on the same page because this is something that I feel like I have wanted to talk about from the beginning. And I remember putting it on like our original list, but just trying to, I was like calling it something different. I was saying like social media buzzwords,
Yes.
but this
was it.
was it.
Yeah.
So I was like, ooh, yay.
This is really good because I feel like not only is it like super trendy, and it has been for a little bit now.
Yeah. I mean, I think mental health in general is very trendy at this point. And I hope that like as time goes on, it's not as trendy, but people continue to raise awareness. And I feel like that's kind of where it started. And now it's like at this peak of something. And I want to try to bring it back down.
Okay. Well, let's get into it. Wait, but before, if you guys noticed, this is a new background.
This is my new office, guys. It's very cute. It's very cozy. I'm liking the vibes. It's nice and warm. Same furniture. So familiar. It's the same but different.
Right. I like same but different.
Yeah. No, it definitely spiced some things up.
All right, guys. So let's get into it. Episode 24. Not everything needs a diagnosis.
Or a label at that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like people are trying to put like a term to just regular human interaction, human behavior. Yes, maybe it's like mistreatment at times, but just because we're feeling mistreated doesn't mean that the person's a narcissist. Doesn't mean the person is gaslighting us. Like, I feel like these terms are thrown around so loosely that it takes away from like the severity of what these things actually are.
Yeah. And think about it. It can be hurtful to people if all you do is label them with something.
Yes.
Because you see it somewhere. And I do feel like social media does sometimes cause more people to be anxious or have this idea of themselves that they're really not. But it's like throwing in your face every day. If you're on social media every day,
which
if you're right and you're scrolling and all you see is this over and over again, basically you're programming your brain.
Yeah. And these two things definitely go hand in hand. Like when we're seeing videos about everyone labeling behaviors or everybody labeling emotions as diagnoses, people are going to start reflecting and being like, oh my gosh, this is me, or starting to self-diagnose. And then that's going to create more tension for them within their bodies. And I feel like another thing that is really big on social media right now is activated nervous system. That has been like the newest thing. So now I hear all my clients coming in saying, I need to learn how to regulate my nervous system, which I kind of like that.
Yeah.
More so than people being like, I think I'm on the spectrum, or I think this person's a narcissist, or, you know, this person's bipolar. No, like, let's leave emotions for what they are sometimes and be able to identify that, because then we can regulate our nervous system. We don't have to just put a sticker on it and keep it pushing all the time.
Exactly. And I feel like everybody is like, do you think I have autism? Like, stop, because that's a trend going on.
It is.
And it's like crazy. It's like, I got the tism. No, you don't. Stop.
I feel like everybody can have like tinges of it, right? Like we all have traits of things, but just because this trait means, or just because like sensory issues
Mhm.
is typically found in people who have autism, doesn't mean that if your shirt is scratching your arm that you're autistic.
Right, exactly.
That's what
Or
people
I don't
say.
like the texture of this food. I'm
Autism.
autistic. Like, no, you just don't like the texture.
Right.
It doesn't go with your flow, I guess. I don't know, with your palate. It's not
It's not your preference.
right. And like, why can't sadness just be sadness?
Right.
You know?
Sadness does not always have to be depression.
No. You know what I mean? And I feel like, and I saw this somewhere and I can't remember where, but she's like, it was, I think, another therapist I seen on Instagram talking, and she's like, the problem is we've turned everything, every emotion into something, some
Yes.
type of diagnosis or some type of like, oh my God, be careful. The sensitivity
Yes.
right
Yes.
now is out of this world. Like, no, we need adversity
Yes.
in life. Like, it's okay to go through challenges.
Yeah, it makes you stronger.
Yeah, it's okay to not feel good sometimes and figure that shit out.
And I feel that this is why like the older generation always says like this generation is just too sensitive.
Mhm.
But I feel like I'm not like Gen Z, right? I'm still millennial-ish. Actually, I am. I'm like the last year of
Are you? What year were you born?
96.
You still born in 1900s. Thanks God.
Yeah, thanks God. Because if not, I'd be grouped in with these sensitive babies. And I feel that this whole, like the peak that I was talking about in the beginning is what's creating so much sensitivity. Like you're allowed to say, I'm sad, I'm nervous, I'm angry. Like that does not have to equal some kind of mental health challenge.
Right, right. Emotions are emotions.
Yeah.
It's how your body responds
Right.
to certain things or stimuli. Just pay attention. Sometimes you just need to recognize what you're feeling,
Right.
you know?
And that will regulate your nervous system, actually.
Yep,
It's not that hard, y'all.
exactly.
Okay, so one other really important thing that we felt like we wanted to talk about today was when we're doom scrolling, I think a lot of what we consume is kind of threat based. Like people, and as we're learning our content creation, we're learning what these hooks are, right? It's to grab people's attention. But a lot of times, these hooks in relation to this kind of stuff it's very kind of like threat based. It's very much like I'm talking at you and I'm going to say, like, if you do this and this, you have trauma. If you do this, or if you feel anxious, you're going to struggle forever. If you feel this, you have depression. Like that is very much putting a label on something that somebody might not even meet the full criteria for these things, but they are hearing this and being like, yep, that's me. Guess this is me. And that in turn is activating your nervous system because now that's applying pressure onto you. And you're now feeling like I have a problem rather than this is something that I can work through every day. So I feel like it very much puts like a threat of these things onto people like, "Oh, this is what this means," and that's it.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And then you mentioned like pressure because I feel like that's a big thing now too. Like everyone feels pressured in some aspect of, their life right now. So when you're looking at, this perspective, you're like, I feel pressured to be this way, or I feel pressured, to do this. And then automatically you're like, that's why, because
Right.
I have this, because,
Right.
oh, that's me. That's why I feel, this way.
And you just said it. That is why.
Hmm.
Like sometimes these things can be informational and sometimes these things can answer that question of why am I like this? which, okay, great. But what do we do with that information now?
Mhm.
Do we just sit with it and constantly check in and think that we always have something wrong? Or do we take this information and be like, okay, this might be why. So now how do I manage this moving forward? How do I make myself better
Right.
or work through this for my future?
And you'll have people who can, identify that and have the awareness and then seek out that help if needed, right? But what happens is people are unintentionally, sometimes or
Mhm.
intentionally, diagnosing themselves.
Yeah.
I can't stand that. I always tell my clients, please don't Google stuff.
Yes.
Like, please don't do that.
I'd be like, stay off of there.
Yeah,
It's not helpful.
no, because now what's happening is now you're labeling yourself with this diagnosis and you don't even know if you have that. You
Right.
know what I mean? And so now you're like, oh, my anxiety brain, like I'm just traumatized. I'm a
Yeah.
traumatized person. And then we weaponize those things.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
Right. The whole purpose of, having a diagnosis is so then we know what to do to move forward. And
Mhm.
I think a lot of times when people do self-diagnose, it's like, okay, there's a reason why, and now I don't have to do anything. I feel like when you say weaponize, people use that as an excuse to mistreat others or to not, better their internal struggles. And that's not what this is for.
Yeah, true. Another thing too is going back a little bit to that pressure, like seeing other people healed, which
Hmm.
when people say I'm healed, it's like, are you really?
Are you ever fully healed?
Right. And like the progress, the journey is ongoing.
Right.
There's so many things that are going to happen in life, like continuously, like
Right.
ongoing things that could re-traumatize you,
Mhm.
that could, trigger you. And
Right.
like, if we're handling those things well, great. But that doesn't mean you're fully healed. So people are like, why can I be like that? Why?
Mhm.
This means I'm never going to get there. You know what I mean? And will I ever? And that causes a whole nother realm of stress for people.
Right. This is the stuff that we're talking about that when we're doom scrolling on TikTok or Instagram or Shorts, wherever you consume your social media, this is the stuff that applies that pressure to us of like, why can't I be where this person is? And that's just the comparison, theory. And we know that that isn't healthy for us. But
Mhm.
I feel like even in this aspect, like I could understand looking at these people and using it for inspiration. Like,
Mhm.
okay, this person worked through this. I can too.
Yeah.
Great. But we don't want you to compare because even though that person is on their healing journey and they feel they're healed. We don't know when they started. We don't know the behind the scenes of what they're not showing on social media. So we're sitting here and comparing ourselves to these people, but we don't even know what their journey has looked like. And
Mhm.
everybody's journey is different.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it can look like your own.
Right.
It doesn't have to look like somebody else's. I always say comparison can be two things,
Hmm.
right? Comparison or comparing yourself with someone else can be torture or it can be a teacher.
Hmm.
Pick one. And what I mean by teacher is if you see someone doing well and you desire to be there, allow it to teach you some good
Right.
things about it and say, "Ooh, I like that. What can I take? How can I move forward?" Don't compare yourself that you're not there. Your experiences aren't even the same.
Right.
And then it's going to torture you because you think you're supposed to be somewhere that you're not.
Right.
So allow it to be your teacher, not your torture.
Absolutely. I like that. I'm going to
Yeah.
use that moving forward.
Stealing.
Noted.
So I think I mentioned this earlier about people weaponizing,
Yeah.
the diagnosis and labeling and telling people what they have. I think we do that way too loosely.
Right.
And one of the things that I feel is harmful about that is when you keep saying something to someone, their brain, and if they receive it and they're interpreting that,
Yeah.
their brain is going to be like, I'm selfish. I'm a narcissist.
Right.
I'm bipolar. I'm,
Right,
whatever.
like
I have anxiety. I don't care if it's like when you're telling someone,
Your ADHD.
yeah, whatever the thing is, I am going to take that. Now I'm going to be like, I'm this.
Right. And we don't know how that other person is going to internalize that. So if we keep labeling somebody something, that like carries with them.
Yeah, they will be that. They will be it in here.
Right.
Because their brain will be like, oh, remember, you can't do this. You have ADHD.
Right. And even as therapists, like this is something that we learn. That's just one of the first things that I remember learning, like in grad school. Be careful with diagnoses.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to put that label on somebody and have it carry with them throughout their life. Like,
Mm-hmm.
these things are heavy. And I feel like now that we can just get this information anywhere, everybody's running around diagnosing everyone, not thinking about like the long-term effects of this.
Yeah.
This stuff carries with people. This is, I feel like telling somebody they're a narcissist is just as bad as like somebody's husband calling their wife like a bitch. That people be like, "Oh my God," like
Yeah.
it's name calling.
Yeah, it is.
If you are not equipped to diagnose, why are we calling people these things?
Yeah.
I cannot count how many times I'll be mid-session and look at people and be like, I hate TikTok. Because they will sit here and explain to me, like, I had a client the other day telling me that they finished session with me last week and they went home and they were trying to express something to their partner about like effective communication and like this is something that we really have to work on because it's what we talked about. So they wanted to share that with their partner, as they should be able to. The partner turned around and told them, don't come out of therapy and gaslight me into making me say that I'm wrong. Nobody, and I literally said, I hate TikTok because you're not gaslighting. You're communicating your feelings.
Right.
And I feel like that is a term that people will use just to shut somebody down and to kind of deflect.
Yeah.
If anybody's gaslighting in that situation, it's actually the person that's saying, oh, you're gaslighting me.
Right. Because, like, do you even know what that really means?
No.
Like, it's those things. And I think about that's a relationship, but I also think about how we say these things to, like, kids. Please don't say these things to your children.
Right, because then they're going to go out and use these words too.
Yes. Don't say like, oh, you're so anxious. Oh, oh, you have anxiety. Oh, you have ADHD without having an official diagnosis, because they're going to take those things and their behavior will show that because their brain is internalizing that.
I agree totally, because my niece, and now I'm saying this because I am a therapist, she is very anxious. Like to the point where she like rips out her hair because she's like twirling when she's uncomfortable. So when these things come up, I try to talk to my sister and say like, try to sit down with her and talk to her and ask her what she's feeling. Like try to give her different emotions to be able to express, because if she can express that, she is going to be even more anxious because she's holding in all of these feelings. So I feel like I might have talked about this before, but I'm not 100% sure. It was her birthday and we all went over for like cake and pizza and stuff like that. And she was so upset that like her party was over and everybody was leaving. And she went and sat on the steps and was like, she looked visibly sad, but she was sitting there twirling her hair. And I said to her, I'm like, J Mama, what's wrong? And she's like, I don't want to talk. And I'm asking her, like, what's wrong? I'm like, are you sad everybody's leaving your party? She's like, yeah, I don't want everybody to go home. I don't want my birthday to be over. So, like, we can tell she's sad. She's twirling her hair because that's what's soothing to her. But it's like you have to give these kids the language to use to express themselves instead of just saying, like, oh, she's just anxious.
Right, exactly. And even if I'm feeling a little anxious, that doesn't mean I have generalized anxiety disorder.
No, you could be nervous.
It could be situational.
Right. You have little butterflies in your belly.
I feel like the culture now, everything gets labeled.
Yeah.
And I feel we got to stop that.
I I fear we do.
Yeah. It's actually kind of pretty bad.
It is. I mean, we don't want to lose the awareness,
Mhm.
but we want to bring it down because not every emotion is a disorder.
Mhm.
Not every time we feel grief does that mean we're depressed.
Mhm.
Like, these things can be situational to our life, and at times do we feel these things? Yes, but that's a part of emotional processing. Like, we go through our feelings, but that doesn't mean we have major depressive disorder. We just went through something that's hard.
Exactly.
Identify that,
Mhm.
feel that,
Mhm.
and let's move on.
Remembering that a diagnosis is supposed to be helpful. It's
Right,
supposed to allow us to understand what's going on so that we can provide proper treatment, proper interventions,
right.
so that you know what's going on, so we can actually get to a finish line or an outcome, not a finish line,
Mhm,
right? But like working towards something. Misdiagnosing yourself with something, that just causes confusion. And
mhm,
so when we're like labeling ourselves with things, I have this, I have that, you're going to be confused as hell if that's not what you have,
mhm.
and how to even get there or how to even work through that. And so let's identify what you're feeling and then seek the help that you need. Don't diagnose yourself because it just causes so much confusion, for everyone for that matter.
And I don't know if you do this, but, like, sometimes when I put in, like, treatment plans and stuff for my clients, I don't ever tell my client, like, "This is what I've diagnosed you as."
Mhm. No.
No, like,
Mm-mm.
if they ask me, sometimes I'll be like, "Oh," like, I try to kind of reflect, like,
Mhm.
what will knowing this do for you? But sometimes I'll be like, "This is what I have you in as, but we're working
Mhm.
on it." Like,
Well, you have to provide some type of
right,
psychoeducation on what an actual diagnosis is and why you need it.
right,
You know what I mean? Why the importance of it,
right,
right? And it's not a significant importance of who you are.
right,
Unfortunately, you need a diagnosis for insurance
right,
sometimes.
and
I
some
got a bill somehow, some way,
that's what I
right?
tell them. I'm like,
Yeah.
sometimes it's there for insurance purposes, but our goals in therapy are what we
Yeah.
set them as, no matter what the diagnosis is.
Right. And like, it's just a guide for me to be
Right.
able to say, okay, I know that if I'm dealing with this is the way that I need to go.
Hmm.
These are the interventions and strategies that I have to apply. This is what's going to, but like, we're not doing textbook stuff.
Right.
It's just a guide because
Right.
everybody is different. Just
Absolutely.
because everybody has depression, I don't treat everybody with depression the same.
No.
Everybody doesn't have the same treatment plan. Everyone doesn't have the same, it's all individualized.
Right. Everybody's brain is different. And
Yeah.
that is what I love about this so much because,
Mhm.
yes, diagnoses can look the same, things can look the same, but that doesn't mean it's a one size fits all.
Yeah, that's it. And like just to give some examples, you said a good one like grief. It's like, oh, grief, I'm depressed. No, that's a part of grief. Like you're
Like,
gonna feel sad.
I was just going to say, you're sad.
Yeah,
Feel that. That does
exactly.
not mean that you are now going to be depressed for the rest of your life.
Exactly. Or like I'm stressed. I might have had a really tough week. Just because I'm stressed out and I may be feeling a little bit of, anxiety or anxious doesn't mean I'm diagnosed with anxiety
Right.
or I have generalized anxiety disorder. No, this might be situational, and I'm going to deal with it and then I'll be fine, afterwards.
I feel like this is really important to say. There is a diagnosis called adjustment disorder, right?
Yeah.
And when we have people come in, again, billing purposes, we have people come in that say, like, I just went through a breakup and it was really hard. I just lost this person in my life and it was really hard. So we sit and we assess the situation. We ask about their history. We do all of these things to actually be able to identify, okay, would this person be even feeling anxious or depressed if this event didn't happen?
Mhm.
And I feel like that's a good example to show, like, these, like, people will come in and they want therapy to help work through these processes in their lives, but we don't even give them generalized anxiety disorder because we know that they are anxious or they are sad or they are depressed because of this specific event that happened to them.
Right. Just think about it. These are different signals that your body is just like, oh, I feel a little different. This doesn't feel good.
Right.
It's not always a symptom of a disorder.
Right.
Just pay attention to your body a little bit,
Absolutely.
checking in with yourself. And just because I got mood swings doesn't mean I'm bipolar, especially for women. You guys, hormonal changes is a real life thing. I
Yes.
think maybe we should do a whole episode about all of the phases and the struggles.
I would love to because
Yeah.
y'all already know.
Because sometimes it does like really affect, some people.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean that they're bipolar.
Right.
They might have PMDD, but
And I was just going to say that because we all know, here we are. I was struggling sometimes, but we know that PMDD it's the way that the chemicals in your brain react to the hormone fluctuation in your
Mhm.
body. So that doesn't make anybody bipolar. The brain ain't braining
Mhm.
that time of the month. That's it.
Has anyone ever called you bipolar?
No,
Oh, okay, good.
but no, but when I'm in my luteal phase, Mike will be like, it's lutealing. Yes,
That's
it is.
funny.
I will say it has been better though.
Good, good, good. Some of the things that don't need a diagnosis or a label: burnout, life transitions,
Mhm.
breakups, situational anxiety.
Mhm.
It can be that you're feeling something intense in that moment,
Mhm.
but if you work through it and you feel better, you're good.
Right.
You know?
You just process your feeling. Burnout is burnout. When we feel burnout, we just need to rest.
Mm-hmm.
We need to recharge. Do a little self-care. It doesn't last forever.
Yeah, I know. And that's a good thing.
Thank God.
Right. One of the risks of continuing to do this and label and Google your diagnosis and look up is like you're going to become
Yeah.
this thing. And I have people who say that all the time. Like, I just can't because I have ADHD, or I just, I can't because of, whatever diagnosis that they might have been diagnosed with before. And I'm like, please, once, to stop self-diagnosing yourself, and two, just because you have a diagnosis, if you do, it doesn't mean that's who you are. Let's work through that.
Right.
And so, like, before asking yourself, the question of what's my diagnosis, let's rewind. Ask yourself, what do I need
Right.
right
What am
now?
I feeling?
What am I feeling? What happened? Has anything happened this week, this year? What?
Yeah.
What's going on? Am I noticing any patterns? Let's ask ourselves these questions before saying, oh, I'm this. Oh, I'm
Right.
that. Like, what support would help me right now?
Maybe a therapist.
Maybe.
But I know what it ain't. TikTok, ChatGPT, Google. It's none of that.
Mm-mm.
Helpful resources, yes. Support for your mental health, no.
Right. I want to say this. I do feel that, some of the content that's out there, some of the educational
Yes.
things, right, are really good. Follow the educational things, like regulating and tips of how to do so. Those are good things. We can benefit from, like, oh, I want to try this, let me step into my like soft era and take care of myself and slowing down. You know what I mean? Like, follow these things.
Are you into that era yet?
I'm trying to get there.
Okay. Just checking.
I'm trying to get there. I ain't never been soft though.
I know. I was just wondering if you I know. I was just wondering if you were entering the slow down era.
Okay, slow down. Maybe. It's tough. It's tough for me because schedules,
Yeah.
it's crazy. When you have kids, you'll see
Oh,
it's hard to slow down.
I know it.
Like, hence Saturday morning, out doing trainings,
Mm-hmm.
ripping and running, filming,
I know.
you know.
We're busy. And I think it would be really important for us to say, like, some content is educational, because if we didn't make note of that, we'd be sitting here sounding like a bunch of assholes.
Exactly.
Because obviously we're sitting here making content for people to consume, but like,
Mm-hmm.
this is our job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not just like a Joe Schmo
Mm-hmm.
out there saying that this is what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, things are educational. Things are good. There are tips out there. There are helpful things. But we have to remember to take these things with a grain of salt,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't know what their source is.
Right.
And we can't take everything so seriously and be like, I heard this on here. This is what I am. That's
Correct.
not what we want.
If you find yourself just like overwhelmed and like overstimulated with all of the information, the content that you watch, or just finding yourself like really trying to figure it out, take a break. Take
Yeah.
a break, because that probably means that you're overwhelmed and basically your brain is not even going to, be able to understand what's going on. You're just all going to just take it in, and it's going to be a disaster.
Right. This is what we mean by sometimes the content and constant like social media scrolling creates more anxiety, because those feelings are like letting you know that you are activating your nervous system by what you are consuming.
Mm-hmm.
So if this doesn't feel helpful to you, it's probably not helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind when we're scrolling. Be mindful of how we're communicating our feelings to others. Be mindful what we're labeling ourselves and others, and do valuable research. Reach out for support, reach out for help, and that's all you can do.
Call me.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode.
See you guys next week.
If you have any questions or would like to connect with us, please follow us on Instagram and send us a DM, or send us an email to the platforms listed below.